Be warned, there's no turning back once the deal has been made. A place where you exchange something for anything you desire. Aoife was seated on the hospital chair, waiting for an update on Anastasios. A few hours ago, she had gotten a phone call from the hospital. They informed her that he was involved in a car accident that left him in a critical condition. He was being operated on at the movement. Her eyes stung from all the crying she had done. Every now and then, a doctor would come out of the room and will leave without giving her answers about Anastasios' condition. She did not know what to think about anymore. Anxiety took over her body as she waited for an update on Anastasios. She silently prayed he should live. Please, God. She closed her eyes and thought to herself, Anastasios, I love you, brother. Please don't give up on your life. I know you are strong, very strong. Loud footsteps snapped her out the thoughts. She opened her eyes and looked at Dr. Ross. His face held a blank expression. Dr. Ross, how is he? Please tell me he is alive. Her eyes began to tear up again. The doctor looked down and let out a sigh of grief. He is fine, right? She questioned, holding back sob. Dr. Ross looked in her eyes. He lost too much off blood. We tried everything we could. I'm sorry for your loss. Would you like to see him? The doctor asked. She gave him a small nod. He stuck out his hand and helped her up. She felt very lightheaded and dizzy. The doctor guided her through the door and left her standing beside a body covered with a blanket. Is this him? She shuddered. I will give you some time to be with him. He bowed and walked out. She reached for the blanket that covered the body with her shaky hands and pulled down the cover to uncover his face. Her breathing started to get heavier and uneven with each passing second. So she just pulled back the covers and left the room. He's gone. Why him? I wish there was something I could have done to prevent the accident from happening. It has been an hour now, and she is still sitting in the hospital. Suddenly, her phone vibrated. She looked at the screen and saw she had a new message. We are inviting you to our magic shop. Have you lost something dear to you recently? A pet? A ring? Maybe someone from your family? Our magic shop is a place where you can exchange something for anything you desire. But be warned, once a deal has been made, there is no going back. We hope to see you soon. Address: 1509 Horn Street. A magic shop? Oh, what a load of scrap. As if anyone's going to believe that, she thought. Just then some teenagers walked past her. She could not but overhear their conversation. Cut it, Justin. Dogs cannot just magically come back to life. The guy named Justin spoke. It was that magic shop I told you about. I don't know how they did it. The guy named Justin spoke out. She could no longer hear them as they were now further away. The magic shop. It won't hurt to try, right? The next day, she went on to the address at night. The only sound that could be heard was the sound of her footsteps and the faint sound of a piano. She looked up at the big sign that said Magic Shop. She breathed. What if this is the only chance to change what happened? What is it? Is it even legit, or is it just a scam? She breathed in oxygen and whispered to herself, I can do it. Then she pulled the door, entering the small and dark room. She looked around until her eyes landed onto a counter stand. Is that where I'm supposed to go? She went to the counter and saw a small bin was placed there. Are you sure you want to do this? Someone questioned from behind her, startling her. She looked up and saw a man wearing a hood, which covered his face. Aye. Before she could complete her sentence, the mysterious man pointed towards the bin and said, Place your item in the bin, and in return you can get whatever you want. She starts to search through her pockets and pulled out a pocket watch, which Anastasios gave her last year. Remember, everything comes with a price, the man said. I know. She placed the watch inside the bin. The man took the bin and gave her a key. In just the blink of an eye, the man disappeared. Now she's left all alone into the dark room. She tightened her hold around the key and turned around, looking at the door that did not exist before. She released out a deep breath and inserted the key into the door hole. She then entered another room that looked just like their living room. The date displayed onto the calendar was of the day previous to Anastasios' accident. Anastasios. She called out with hope. Just then she heard footsteps getting closer and closer. "Aoife, what's wrong?" Anastasios asked. She let out a small gasp of surprise. It worked. It really worked. She can change his destiny now. No, everything's fine. She gave Anastasios a smile and suggested, "Let's go watch a movie." Anastasios grinned at the idea. She smiled, getting to spend time with them just one last time. Before he could walk away, she pulled him into an embrace. "Promise me that you will stay home tomorrow," she requested. "You know I have dance practice." "I can't," he replied. She looked up at him with her brimming eyes. "Please, just for me," he sighed. "Fine, I'll stay home. Don't cry now. Will you prepare the popcorn? I'll be there in a few minutes." He kissed her forehead before walking away. She then heard the ticking off a clock. It was time. The door she entered from appeared back once again. She went through the door and locked it behind her. "It's time," the mysterious man spoke. She nodded and walked towards him and held the man's hand and said, "Thank you very much." The man left her in front of a mirror and walked away. She looked into the mirror. Small cracks began forming on her face. This was her prize. In order to save a life, one must sacrifice his. That's how dark magic works. A tear ran down her face. No, not a tear of sadness, but happiness. The cracks continued to grow. They continued to grow until she shattered like glass. After all, a life is as fragile as glass. Now, her entire existence had been erased from the universe. Anastasios won't remember he had a sister. No one would remember Aoife. It will be as if she never even existed.